Good evening, chaps. I have a great show for you this evening. Um, let's get started. So, in England, they unveiled this horrible, over 20, I think 27-foot tall statue of a giant baby they called Lily. And this just is awful. Um, so, there's going to be you can go inside of it and they'll have children talk about their concerns over climate change. Um, and then the baby will say or pretend to say the recordings of the children saying those things inside of it. And this woman in overalls is going to talk to them about climate change. Oh boy, where do I even start with this? So just when I thought modern art had no way of getting worse, modern art got even worse. This art looks like something out of my worst nightmares. And this is obviously just indoctrinating children into this anti human ideology. So, that's awful. England, quite frankly, England's once beautiful landscape and once beautiful cities are now being desecrated and vandalized with the disgusting uh, disease known as modern art, created by the virus known as Le Corbusier. This modern art has reached levels so low, I don't even know what words to use to describe it anymore. Now, going on to do another subject. Bill Maher just had some, let's say, not good words, a not good criticism of Kamala Harris. Does Kamala Harris deserve to be criticized? Yes. But not for the reason, of course, Kamala Harris supports the killing of innocent children through abortion. She supports all sorts of degenerate policies. But take a wild guess what Bill Maher is complaining about.
Long-awaited second front in the Israeli war seems to have started this week, not just the pagers, but they're bombing all over the Lebanon yesterday and today. Here's what Kamala Harris said this week about what we should do when the war is over. No reoccupation of Gaza.
Listen to the way he said that. No reoccupation of Gaza, as if that's a bad thing. Can you believe what Kamala Harris just said? She said we shouldn't reoccupy Gaza. This lady's crazy. No, Bill Maher, we don't want to create more living space for the Jewish people through genocide of Gentiles. That's something only you want to do and your fellow Zionist extremists, as well as the group that runs the world.
No changing of the territorial lines of Gaza, and an ability to have security in the region for all concerned in a way that we create stability. I feel like if that's what you have to say, don't say anything. Just shut up. I mean, everybody who talks about Israel these days is just so full of shit. I mean, or just not, I don't want children to die. Duh, who does? None of us want children to die. None of us want this war to go on. But it's not addressing what the problem is. The problem is that one side wants a two-state solution, or at least always did. It's a little more right-wing now. I'm talking about Israel, but that's still been their position. One side never did and still doesn't. One side uses terrorism to get their goals. One side retaliates against terrorism. One side is accused of genocide but doesn't do it. The other side actually would love to do it.
All right. That was awful. So, does what Kamala Harris said deserve harsh criticism? Obviously. She said that she doesn't want to change the Israeli Palestine borders. We should. Israel should not exist. Israel is an illegitimate state. Um, so, absolutely, we should change it to a map where Israel doesn't exist. But, and regarding the part about genocide, yes, the Zionists are committing a genocide right now, and some of the Palestinian people have fantasized about genocide, but that purely exists in thoughts, while the Palestinian genocide exists right now in real life at the expense of us, the American taxpayers. And then, but there's something else also he said. No one wants to kill children. No one wants dead children. There are people that want dead children, the elites that run America, the Hollywood elites, the people that run our government, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, and let me think, another person, Bill Maher. Don't believe me? I want to show you this.
Yeah.
Oh,
What about the prime minister? Are we allowed to talk about that?
of course, you can talk about anything. That's what I love about this.
I really think that he knows if, God forbid, he steps down or the war is over, he's in jail.
I mean, that's possible, and we hear that a lot. I mean, it's
I
interesting.
believe it to my core.
Yeah, well, you don't know what's. I mean, that could be the case. You don't know what's in a person's heart. Whether that's true or not, you can still be supportive of the decisions he's making, which I am.
Okay.
It's very.
Listen to what he just said. You can still be supportive of his choices, which I am. Benjamin Netanyahu is using our taxpayer money, the US taxpayers' money, to do a mass slaughter of innocent children. Bill Maher supports the mass slaughter of innocent children. He said it there. He just admitted it. I mean, what can you say? So, but he accuses us, anti-Zionists and pro-Palestinian people, of being pro-murder. And here's the thing. So most of us aren't, but are there a small minority of pro-Palestinian activists that are pro-Hamas and do hold genocidal views towards the Jewish people? Yes, there are. But that tiny minority is the farthest possible from power. While everyone who has a large amount of power in the West or in Zionist-occupied Palestine does hold genocidal views towards the Palestinian people or has been bribed into claiming to hold genocidal views towards the Palestinian people. One of the two. So when he said no one wants to see dead children, you want to see dead children, and the elites want to see dead children.
very naive, I think, that this could go any other way.
Right.
And any other country in the world would not be expected to act any differently. If you get it,
Did you just, so I'm going to talk about this later, but it was just proven that Joe Biden is lying for Israel to the same extent George W. Bush lied for Israel. George W. Bush lied to the American people. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney lied to the American people to tell them that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. They didn't. That Iraq did 9/11. They didn't. Lie. They told us that we could westernize Iraq. We couldn't. They told us we could bring democracy to Iraq. We couldn't, and we shouldn't. It was lie after lie. Why did he do that? Because Iraq was one of Israel's greatest enemies. So he lied us into using our blood, the lives of our boys, and our money to blow Iraq to high heaven, to turn Iraq into a parking lot so it no longer served a threat to Israel. And so the big, evil, social Marxist globalist companies could profit off of this pointless, morally reprehensible war. Joe Biden is doing the exact same thing for Israel just now. Just like George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, Joe Biden is lying to the American people for Israel. He's saying that we can wipe out Hamas. We can't. He's saying that we can defeat Hamas. We can't. He's saying that the bombing campaigns can defeat the leaders of Hamas. We can't. We're bombing Palestine. The leaders of Hamas are in Qatar. We can't do that. He's telling us that that the Israelis are the good guys in this conflict. They aren't. It's lie after lie. Just like George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, Joe Biden is lying for a Zionist cause, a morally reprehensible, evil, corrupt, greedy Zionist cause. And no other country could get away with that unless Israel ordered the US to let them get away with that. Could Ukraine get away with this level of corruption? There's only one way Ukraine could get away with this level of corruption. If Israel ordered the US to let Ukraine get away with this amount of corruption. Because America is an Israeli puppet. Joe Biden, Dick Cheney, and George W. Bush, and Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris are all Israeli puppets. The neocons, the Republicans, the Democrats, the liberals, they're all Israeli puppets. They're all Zionist puppets. And we are slaves to Zog unless we stand up and fight against these insane forever wars we're funding across the entirety of the world.
attacked, you get to fight back. And the war doesn't end when you start fighting back, which they always want with Israel. You know, when somebody...
You know what? A lot of what you're saying is true. However, I think that, you know, there are parents, there are families that are hurting because the hostages are not.
Yes, and it's the job of a statesman and a leader and a prime minister to think long term and not just short term. Like, if they don't eliminate Hamas,
they're not going to eliminate Hamas. Hamas is an idea, not a group of people.
That's a bullshit thing.
It's not bullshit.
Well, let me tell you something. They've said that for years. I just read, I think, Sam Harris on this, and he said...
Yes, the totally unbiased Sam Harris, who always steel mans the Muslims and the Islamists, and always steel mans all his opponents and sees things through a fair view. great citation, Mr. Marr.
That is right.
I know Sam.
Okay, great.
I like
love
Sam.
Sam. Great. I'm
Yeah.
glad we both do.
Yeah.
And he said this thing we've heard a lot of times: you can't kill an idea. He said, "Well, we did after World War II.
Until now.
We did kill a lot of Japanese."
All right. So is that true? Yes, we were able to. So National Socialism and fascism have both been completely and totally wiped off the earth. There aren't any fascists anymore, and there aren't any National Socialists anymore. So on that issue, Mr. Marr is correct. However, I'm going to get to this in a second, but we can't do that. The way Israel is trying to do that with Hamas, or claiming to try to do that with Hamas, would never work. I'm going to get to that in a second.
And that was unfortunate.
Right.
But I mean, if you do kill enough lunatics, and Japan was led by lunatics,
right.
Died of the last person, and
Yeah.
a lot of suicide bombing and all that. Very similar to what we see with radical Muslims.
Right.
Suicide bombing, cult of martyrdom.
Right.
Okay, so Japan became our good friend. So let's not pretend that you can't actually get to the root of this. It is difficult.
I'm not pretending.
No.
I truly believe
that
in
you
this
will not,
particular case.
You will not.
You don't think that all those people that are now homeless and their families are destroyed, you don't think that they are now
I think you have to make
Hamas
calculation.
again?
Of course, absolutely. That is going to happen. You are also
So
recruiting.
you want to kill every human being?
No. Is that what I said?
No, but I think it is what you were leading to.
No, it is certainly not what I'm leading to. What I'm saying
if we kill enough of them, we're going to end Hamas.
I didn't say that either.
I think you did.
No, I didn't. Okay. You said it.
You want to play it back?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
I did not say if you kill enough of them, where the Hamas is
no,
over.
What I said was the idea that you can't kill an idea.
Oh, that's what I said.
Yeah. That's what I was objecting to.
Right.
And I was quoting Sam talking about the fact that after
World War II, we did not kill Nazism.
Yeah, we did.
All right. So now, okay, so there's a lot of things wrong with what Mr. Marr has said. So first off, he's comparing this to World War II. He's saying, well, in World War II, we were successfully able to permanently cleanse fascism and National Socialism from the world, permanently, completely, entirely. So we need to support the Palestinian Genocide, because then they can cleanse the world of Hamas permanently, just like we did in World War II. Now, all right. So I'm not sure to what extent I've shared my views in World War II, but I have some major problems with the Allies. Winston Churchill and Joseph Stalin were both evil monsters. They were genocidal. Winston Churchill committed genocide against Indians. Joseph Stalin committed a mass genocide against Ukrainians with the Holodomor genocide. Joseph Stalin killed twice as many people as Adolf Hitler did. More than twice, all innocent people. So, by all means, Winston Churchill and Joseph Stalin were evil monsters. However, with as many problems as I have with the Allies' forces during World War II, it's not fair to them to compare them to 21st century Israel, because that's doing them a disservice. So I think as many policies that 1940s era English people and American people supported, I disagree with. It is the worst possible insult to compare the American people or the English people of the 1940s to the 21st century Israeli people. That is a disgusting slander of the English and American 1940s people that is spitting on their graves, that is spitting on their immortal souls, that is spitting on their memories. And that should bring great outrage and great offense to their descendants. Now, the only ally force I think you could sort of make a comparison with Israel is the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was a pure evil, expansionist, empire of evil. And Israel is a pure evil, expansionist empire. So that's the only way I think you could make a comparison to 21st century Israel and any of the Allies' forces. But I don't think I would go that far, because I think comparing Israel with the Soviet Union is too harsh to the Soviet Union, as evil as they were. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu and Joseph Stalin were both evil monsters, believe me. However, Benjamin Netanyahu is, he's probably more evil than Joseph Stalin, to be honest. He's certainly more evil than Adolf Hitler. So, another stupid, ridiculous take from our clown, Mr. Marr. Oy vey, oy gewalt. Although, with all of this disgusting bloodshed and lies and corruption regarding Palestine, we actually got a good white pill, believe it or not. So, the CIA is an Israeli puppet organization. It's a Zionist-led organization, extremely corrupt, has done extremely evil things. They participated in the murder of Gaddafi, which led to his country being run by Hezbollah and now having open slave markets. And they not only murdered Gaddafi, but sodomized him. Terrible, terrible organization, evil people. However, even their ex-leader, Israel has gotten so evil that even their ex-leader conceded openly that the IDF and Israel are both terrorist organizations.
Ability to be able to place an explosive in technology that is very prevalent these days and turn it into a war of terror, really, a war of terror. This is something new.
Is it terrorism?
I don't think there's any question that it's a form of terrorism. This has gone right into the supply chain, right into the supply chain. And when you have terror going into the supply chain, it makes people ask the question, what the hell is next?
It sounds like you're genuinely worried.
I am. This is a tactic that has repercussions. And we really don't know what those repercussions are going to be. The forces of war are largely in control right now of what's going on.
Do you think there should be condemnation for it? Should other nations step in, including us?
I think it's going to be very important for the nations of the world to have a serious discussion about whether or not this isn't an area that everybody has to focus on, because if they don't try to deal with it now, mark my word, It is the battlefield of the future.
Our windows were 37 years old.
All right. So there have been times in history where there was something so cruel, so evil, so devastating that even someone really, really evil admitted how bad it was. The Third Reich largely condemned a lot of the war crimes of World War II Imperial Japan, because the war crimes of Imperial Japan were so brutal and so disgusting. Like Unit 731, I believe it's called, that they, a lot of these war crimes were condemned, these Japanese war crimes were condemned by the Third Reich. Many high-ranking National Socialist officers went to Japan and publicly condemned their war crimes and their human rights violations because they were so bad that even the National Socialists had discussed. There was this German war criminal from World War II named Oskar Dirlewanger, and his war crimes were so bad that the SS publicly denounced Oskar Dirlewanger because he was too brutal, too cruel, and too evil for the SS. Joseph Stalin said that he thought Lavrenti Beria, who was in charge of the secret police of the Soviet Union at that time, he publicly denounced him, privately denounced him because Lavrenti Beria was too evil for Joseph Stalin. This is like that because the CIA, an evil organization, an evil terrorist organization, denounced Israel and called Israel terrorist. But this is even more extreme than those cases because Israel is the CIA's boss. So, because the CIA is an evil Israeli puppet organization, so the CIA conceding publicly, or an ex-leader, that Israel is terrorist would be like Lavrenti Beria saying that Stalin is an evil monster, or Heinrich Himmler saying that Adolf Hitler is an evil monster. That's how crazy this is. And this just shows how far Israel has gone and proves that Israel has pushed the Gentiles way too far. It's disgusting. And the fact that Joe Biden, of all people, and Kamala Harris and Donald Trump still support Israel after all of this at this late date proves that all three of them are evil. It's really disappointing with Donald Trump because during the 2016 campaign, he really brought so much new hope that we hadn't seen before with regards to foreign policy. He admitted that we were lied into the war with Iraq, even though Obama refused to do it, saying it was just a mistake. He said he would pull our troops out of the Middle East. He said he would pull our troops out of Afghanistan. He let us down, but he gave us hope for so long. So to see him betray one of the main things that got him his fan base, it's very disappointing. Is he the lesser of two evils compared with Kamala Harris or Joe Biden? Absolutely. So we should absolutely vote for him. But his policies on foreign affairs right now, just everyone, all the politicians' policies on foreign issues right now, reprehensible. Unbelievable. Now, so this is we got a super Democrat liberal cringe moment. So I'm hoping this will help Kamala Harris go down in the polls, because this really makes her look bad. Here, I'll show you the video.
And being screamed at, being called, all kinds of names. What happened in that period? And the best I can sort of unpack it is that there were already existing groups within our country, and particularly on certain campuses like Columbia, who had talking points. They had a plan for protest and disruption. And I watched it sort of morph into something that was not student led, even though students participated, but which had outside funding, outside direction. And I still to this day, I'm not quite sure of all that was going on with it. And a lot of students were caught up in that. And a lot of the videos on social media gave not just a one-sided view of the conflict, but a totally anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, not just pro-Palestinian view. And for me, it was distressing because, look, I have my own opinions formed over many years. I am willing to sit down and have a conversation with anybody. But it's difficult to have conversations with people who hold strong opinions with no factual and historical basis. And so in trying to talk to students, not just at Columbia, but elsewhere, I would be met with slogans. I would be met with attacks and very inflammatory language. And when I would ask, well, what about, do you know what happened in 2000 at Camp David? No. Do you know what happened in 1947? No. Do you know how difficult the relationships have been? No. Do you know that there are Arab Israelis and some are serving in the IDF? None of that. And this whole chanting of, from the river to the sea, what does that mean? What river? What sea? That's what bothered me. And I think this year has been, much quieter, a much more educational environment where people can have these conversations. The ugly presence of anti-Semitism, not just positions against Israel, it's perfectly legitimate. I don't like what that country does, and I don't agree with that country's foreign policy. That is absolutely what you should be debating at a university. This was not that. This was screaming at students who were Jewish. It was blocking their entry into classes or into club activities. It was nasty. And so there.
All right. So, you heard her. She, look. So, this is normal Zionist lies. This is stuff you hear from Ben Shapiro. This is stuff you hear from Bill Maher. This is stuff you hear from Dave Rubin. So, why am I bringing this up when this is just normal Zionist lies that you hear refuted and debunked over and over again? You can find thousands of videos explaining why these arguments are ridiculous. So why do I bring this up? Because this, if we want to win, the Trump supporters want to win, this is what we should pray for. Hillary Clinton, just roll her out and the Democratic candidate just goes down a few points in the polls. That's how unlikable and awful she is. She just has like negative charisma, like negative 1,000 charisma. And if we want to win this election, then we really need to hit them hard on this. I want to see the Trump campaign run ads saying, if you support Kamala Harris, you're supporting the same candidate that Dick Cheney supports and that Hillary Clinton supports. If you support Donald Trump, you're supporting the candidate that Dick Cheney and Hillary Clinton don't want to win. If we played that ad, I think we would have a good shot of winning. So what was a big part of the reason Donald Trump could win in 2016, did win in 2016? People saw their ballot as an FU to the establishment. They were taught, they knew that the establishment was corrupt. They knew that the establishment was won by evil people. They knew that the establishment had ruined their lives and had taken away any future for white children. So they said on their ballot, F you. That's what they were writing when they were voting for Donald Trump. Because it was obvious that Hillary Clinton was the establishment candidate and Donald Trump was the outsider who had contempt for the establishment. It was promising to change the establishment. And this is a big part, I think maybe even the biggest part of why Donald Trump won the election. Because everyone knows, or a lot of people know, that the establishment is evil and corrupt. And we want to vote against the establishment. And this is what I'm hoping can allow Trump a victory during this election. Because Kamala Harris is a super establishment candidate. She's in bed with the establishment. The establishment wants her to win. Dick Cheney, Hillary Clinton, everyone. Just like George Bush Sr. endorsed and voted for Kamala Harris during the 2016 campaign. It's the exact same thing here. We have an establishment candidate and we have a F the establishment candidate, a change candidate. So I guess we can cross our fingers that the American people will feel the same way during this election they felt during 2016. I want to vote for the F the establishment candidate. And we need to use our ads. The Trump campaign needs to use its ads and its commercials to let the American people know that's how it will be done. If you vote for Donald Trump, you're voting against Hillary Clinton and Dick Cheney. If you vote for Kamala Harris, you're voting for Dick Cheney and you're voting for Kamala Harris. And that's how we can win this election. And that's how we can secure a victory for Donald Trump and secure Kamala Harris being vanquished. All right, everybody. Have a good evening. And I hope to see you sometime soon.